Vince Venturola's topic of the week again, this time on converted minis. First go-to is about converted minis themselves. They tend to fall into a uncanny valley. If I take a miniature, if I make it different looking or make it fit a theme, it looks great on its own. If I add any other miniatures to it, it looks different, it looks weird and unappealing to the eye. It doesn't match the rest of the environment that it's currently in. Unless, of course, I get to the full size of the army or full size of a model piece or whatever. There's a few reasons as to why I've never made a converted army or a army with my own personal flair to it. I think the biggest reason is that if I come up with an idea for something, I've usually come up with another idea before I've fully fleshed out that idea, or the previous idea, so on and so forth. I've never come to something where I'm like, I have to make this has to be my life's work, making this army for somebody. And I don't think that'll ever get to a point because of how small our community in the wargaming community, how small we are as a group. I don't think I'd ever touch so many people's lives that I'd be like, I have to get this done for this many people. The second point is something I think everybody can relate to. It's about budget. I want to spend my money on something, get a good-looking model from it. And I don't want to have to spend more money to make the model look better, or worse, spend more money and the model, or spend a bunch of money and the model look worse than what it originally was. Budget-wise, I don't ever want to be in that situation, because then it's like, why did I ever spend this amount of money? I could have spent it on something else, like a nice dinner, as opposed to the TV dinner that I'm currently having. Third point goes back to what I started with, which is kind of the uncanny valley and compatibility issue. If I build a Seraphim army, I build a Carnosaur, and I say, let's make him just nothing but full of feathers. If I stick him in an army with the rest of the reptiles, he's going to look different on his own. And it won't look quite so bad, just him, in the rest of the army. But if I add a second piece and the army looks like it's mismatched, it looks like it's a half bird, half reptile army. So at that point, I either have to build the rest of the army in such a way that is all feather reptile people, in which case then I'm looking at my budget again, or I get rid of those two figures and replace them with with reptiles as they originally were built, and then the army looks perfect. In that instance, that's one of those instances where where converting my model doesn't make my army look better. So now that I've covered all of the negative opinions of converting and whatnot, it's kind of it's time to go to the big positive, which is that converting allows you to make something for yourself, something unique, something that nobody else will ever see, something that a lot of people maybe have as an idea but haven't fully fleshed out yet themselves. It allows for pure imagination to run wild. And I think a lot of kits kind of allow for this, but not really. I remember building a Chaos Warriors kit, and all of the cloaks were fur cloaks, and that's not really much of a conversion or anything that says, hey, you can distinguish this one guy from this other guy because this guy has a leather cloak, so he's probably from somewhere where you have a bunch of either bison or cattle or something like that. This guy's got a fur cloak, which means he probably had to kill a bunch of wolves or wolf-like creatures. It doesn't allow for any massive amount of, or the kits themselves don't allow for very much for very much individuality between the people. And to us, individuality is what really defines us as a us as a person. It's not how we fit into a collective, although you can say, well, I want to show what this would be like. You can do a contrasting opinion where you can be like, well, I want to show you what a red person will look like in a blue setting, or a blue theme in a red setting, for example. In the end, it's about what converting is just another way of making our personal mark as to what we've developed for everybody, or for the rest of the world to see. And for a lot of people, this will be a, well, we just copied what the game publisher had already intended for us. And for other people, it will be, well, this is something certain of my own, and it looks very cool, and it's very different. But and this is where wargaming gets away from what is the social norm. The amount of time it takes to, and I remember just painting a storm shield on a Deathwing Terminator for the Dark Elves of Warhammer 40K, and I didn't think I did a great job, but I did the basic. Let's just color in the lines. The silver looked silver. The green looked green. The pinkish looked pinkish. So on and so forth. The white looked white. And somebody came up and said, "Wow, that's a fantastic looking model." And my first thought was, "Oh, it doesn't look all that great." And my second thought was, well, I did actually spend half an hour on actually making sure that paint was the right color, or paint on each of the squares was the right color, so maybe it does look good. In the end, when it comes down to converting models, it's about making a lot of this will come down to whether we want to make a personal statement for ourselves in some way or another. And it may come down to, well, I'd like to just follow along with what everybody else does, my personal opinion of it, or, oh, I'd like to create something unique on my own. So, happy wargaming to everybody.